Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Traffic Jam podcast. Our episode today is very exciting because we have a special guest, Isa. Isa was a podcast guest last season and is also one of my really good friends. She is hilarious and also has some very good insights, so I had to bring her back. Hope you enjoy.
Okay, Isa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Isa was on the podcast on an episode last season, and what did we talk about? Did we just talk about
we talked about
questions?
Being girl bosses.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And living in our new cities, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Stuff like that.
Well, here we are, still doing that.
Yes. It is kind of similar.
But today's episode that I'm doing with Isa, we're going to be talking more about balancing work and life specifically. So anyway, let's do a little recap first. Like, you can kind of do a quick intro for people that didn't listen to maybe the last episode with you, and talk about like what's new, what's been going on in our lives recently. We'll do a little traffic jam of the week and then get into the topic. So I'll just say really quick what I've been up to, and then you can.
Okay, sounds
okay. So this last week went to a professional soccer game, and that was really cool. I had never seen or been to one before, and it was actually really exciting. I played soccer when I was little, when I was like in like 5th and 6th grade, and I was so bad. I was like always the last person on the team when we would do like our drills and stuff. I was always the last person to get to the finish line. I was always put in the least amount of time to play the game. Like it was terrible and everybody knew it, but I wanted to be good so bad. But anyway, that's all I know about soccer. And then Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah. You said it was a professional soccer game?
Yeah, so it was DC United, and it's like a league, and they play against other like pro teams, I guess.
It was like another American team?
Yeah, it was a South Carolina team.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't even know any.
Yeah, I'm not familiar at all with the teams or anything.
I could name like some NBA teams or some NFL teams, but
yes, but not soccer.
Soccer team.
Yeah, me too. It was really cool. The stadium was huge, and there were actually a lot of people there, but that was really cool. And then also I've just been painting a lot because I've had this full week not working, which has been awesome because I feel like it's given me time to like catch up on things that I've wanted to do and also just do fun stuff. So I've been like watching shows and reading lots of books and painting a lot. So that's what I've been doing.
Nice. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, I guess, to reintroduce myself, I'm Isa, and I live in Fort Worth, Texas, and I am a tax accountant, so I do taxes. Since the last time I was on the podcast, I feel all fancy. I'm like a returning guest.
Yes, the one and only.
Yeah. I think my biggest life update since last time I was on, I am no longer single. I have a boyfriend now. It's exciting.
Woohoo!
But he lives in Utah, so I am moving to Utah in December. So
that's a big life thing.
Yes, I'm kind of stressed actually about moving, but I'm excited. So other than that though, nothing new. I just go to work and
not busy season anymore.
Yes.
Busy still?
The summer has been pretty slow. So it's been
Sweet. Are you sad? Are you going to be sad to leave Texas? A little bit, a lot, kind of.
I'm a little sad. I definitely have some friends here that I'm sad to leave. I do really like my coworkers, so I'm sad to leave them. But overall, I'm really excited because I will be significantly closer to my family. And then obviously, I'll be closer to my boyfriend. So I always knew I would. I did think I would be in Texas a little bit longer than just 2 years, but I always knew I would end up back in Idaho or Utah. So yeah, overall, I'm excited.
Sweet. That's awesome. Are you going to, is there a firm, the same firm in Utah?
Yeah, so there wasn't until this year. My firm just merged with another firm.
Oh, that's right.
And the firm that we merged with, they do have an office in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I'm just going to transfer to that office.
Sweet.
So it all.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's do the traffic jam. And my traffic jam of the week is I came up with this while we were at the soccer game because there were people sitting by us at the game that were talking and just chatting the whole time. They weren't even watching the game. But that didn't bug me as much as this other time that I was thinking about. Anyway, my traffic jam of the week is people who like talk the whole time during sporting events. And I was thinking, oh, maybe some people won't agree with this because it is totally or can totally be a social thing that people want to go to sports and kind of watch, but also just like hang out with their friends and stuff, which I think is totally fine. But a few weeks ago, we went to a Nats game, which is the baseball team here, and a lady came and sat next to me, and she was like with her husband, but she came and their seats were right next to us, and she like just out of the blue just introduced herself, started chatting with us, and she was like talking to me for the whole first half of the game, and I was trying to be polite, but also I could not focus, like couldn't watch the game, couldn't pay attention to what was going on because she was just talking to me the whole time, which that's great because there are not a lot of friendly people here, so I was actually surprised, but that just annoys me in general. So that's my random complaint of the week.
That actually is really annoying. I get like maybe like saying hi and exchanging like a little bit of small talk.
Yeah.
But like sit and talk to you the whole entire time is.
Oh, I learned her whole life story. I could tell you about all her kids, and
that's funny. I don't like on the airplane either. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm like
stuck and you just can't leave if someone's talking to you.
I just want to put my phones in. Please leave me alone. But
yeah. Okay, what's yours?
Okay, my traffic jam of the week. I don't want to brag, but I had like 5 I could choose from. But the one that I would like to share, the AC in my apartment has been broken. Tomorrow it will be 2 whole weeks that it's been broken.
A very long time.
Yeah, so the maintenance guy, he came like the day it broke, but he had to order some parts, and I don't know what's taking the parts so long, but the parts have not come in, and it's been like 105 degrees in Texas every day, and so our apartment at like the peak, at the hottest time of the day, it will be like 90 degrees in my apartment. And so they came in and they put like I don't know what they're called, but like window AC units. They put one in my bedroom and one in my roommate's bedroom. So our bedrooms are bearable. They're like nice and cool, but it's just such a pain because like if you turn on the oven, like we have to cook and like, you know, it gets so hot if you're trying to cook. Yeah. We can't, like, I don't want to sit in my living room. So I just hide in my bedroom wearing the least amount of clothes I can.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so will they just show up then when they get the parts? And
I guess he said he would call us and let us know when they came in. So then we would know, like, okay, it's going to be fixed like either that day or the next day. but I just have no idea when they're going to come in. Like they could come in tomorrow or they could come in 2 weeks from now. So,
Ugh.
and there's nobody I can be mad at, you know. It's like, well, it's not his
Convenient.
part to come in.
Yeah. Oh
So.
my gosh. Okay. Well, that is truly a traffic jam.
I know. I was happy.
I want to hear your other ones too. Well, you'll have to tell me.
I'll tell you later.
Okay, so let's move on to the topic that we want to talk about, like balancing work and life. So, I just want to talk about this because we're both like still recent college grads, who have like started a full-time job. So, if this is you probably went through this same thing that we did of like the adjustment of going from college and like being a full-time student to switching over and not doing school anymore and going right into a 40-hour a week full-time job, or if you're Issa and you're tax accountant, then you're 60 hours a week. Sometimes only for a couple months, but still that is a lot. Well, I was really surprised to feel this way, like feel like overwhelmed with the adjustment, because I really thought that it wasn't going to be that hard. Like I remember really clearly thinking in school that going from being a student to full-time wasn't that big of a deal, and I thought, oh, once I am like done with school and I'm working, life will like be easier. I totally thought that it was going to be easier because I was busy running like I was like our dental hygiene class president. I had like a leadership position there. I was doing that. I was doing service hours. I was trying to find patients and like studying for boards on top of like classes and doing clinical hours. And I was like, surely this is like the busiest that I'll ever be. Like everything after this will be easy. I won't be like studying. I won't have to do homework. And then starting a full-time job, I still felt like I didn't have any time. And I felt like all of my time was like not my own. And I think that part of it was because even when you're busy in school, just like in general in college, even though you do have classes and studying and stuff, you can like choose when to do that. And there are like breaks in between classes, and you have, I don't know if that makes sense, but
I think,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, like for me too, I remember thinking like school is hard because you're always learning new things and you have to like study and it moves pretty fast. And I remember thinking like, oh, once I'm done with school, like they'll train me at my job and I'll have to learn how to do my job.
Mm-hmm.
That will only take like a couple weeks, and then I'll just know how to do my job and I'll never have to learn anything else, and like I'll be good at my job and it will be easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I started working and like it takes more than a couple weeks actually, like adjust and like learn everything you need to learn and things. And then as soon as you learn something, they give you a harder project. You know, it's just like you're still learning, and you still have to like do new things and do hard stuff. I thought like, oh, I'll just know how to do my job and it will be easy, like you were saying, and that'll be that. I'll go home. But no, like work has been similar to school in the sense that it still is like constantly changing and moving fast. So me. Yeah.
Did you, I don't know if you experienced this, but another thing that I noticed when I started working is that when, even after I would leave work and come home, like driving home from work or getting dinner ready or like doing laundry or on the weekends, I would still be like thinking about it, whether it's like a conversation that I had with a coworker or a patient, or a problem that I needed to solve, or maybe harder cases that I was going to have coming up in the next week or the next day. I just was like, not like obsessing over it, but it was just always on my mind. I think partially because it was new, and so I was just trying to absorb everything. But did you have that same problem too?
For sure. I remember, so I started last January, and for taxes, that's like busy season, like January to April. So I didn't take any days off until like for like after it had been like 5 months. And I remember finally taking some days off. And I remember thinking like, oh, I'm so excited to not think about work. But I like went on my little vacation and I thought about work the entire time. And like same thing, like when I get home from work, it's like hard for me to stop thinking about it. And it like felt like it had become my identity. Like I'm an accountant and nothing else. And
Yeah.
it was, yeah, I know the feeling of just constantly thinking about it.
Yeah. I think a lot from what I've heard, like talking to classmates that I had or listening to other podcasts or watching YouTube videos or just different people talking that are kind of in the same phase, it seems like that's a really hard thing to kind of like turn off work and like probably especially if you're working at home. I never really worked at home because I was doing like clinical work, but like you experience this with working at home, like right? You're in the same place the whole time. So
yeah, for sure. Like with my job, I don't like clock in and out. And so, which is a blessing and a curse. Like it is nice. I have some flexibility with when I work, but it's also bad because sometimes I feel like I should just always be working and I could always be getting ahead, moving on to the next thing, so it just never ends.
Yeah. It's hard because that is appealing. Like it feels good to be on time or ahead and kind of be prepared for what's coming next. But then it seems like even when you do that, there's still more. Like there's always more that you can be doing or more that you could add to your list.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see what else. I wrote down like some questions or topics, I guess, for us to talk about, which I guess we kind of already started talking about it, but for you, like when you noticed that you were thinking about work more even when you were home, and like on your trip, like you were saying, when you took those days off, still thinking about work the whole time, when you noticed that, like what did you think, or was there anything initially that you did that you were like, oh, okay, I want to have more work-life balance, or like what can I do about this? And then did you like make any changes or?
Yeah, it did. I will say like it has gotten better with time, especially because as I've become like more comfortable with like my responsibilities at work and more comfortable with my coworkers, like you realize, okay, like I'm not going to get in trouble if I'm not always working. Or I've seen my coworkers, like life happens and people are flexible and it like everything usually works out okay. Mm-hmm. So it has gotten better with time. Something that I am still working on though and trying to do better at is like being present. Like, so, okay, so when I'm sitting at my desk, and this doesn't apply to every job, but for my job, like, again, it's kind of flexible. I can kind of work when I want to work within reason. So I can very easily procrastinate some of my work. Like I'll pick up my phone, or like I have some coworkers that I'm really good friends with. So we'll be chatting and like all of a sudden an hour has gone by and I'm like, well, great. Now I have to stay at work until 6 instead of 5 because I just now are procrastinating. So something I've been trying to work on is like when I'm at my desk, I should actually be working and being present with work. And then those 8 hours go by and it's like, okay, I've only spent 8 hours at my desk and it was all work, instead of spending like 10 or 11 hours at my desk, but only like 7 of them I was actually working.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that helps me then when I do log off and leave my desk, it's easier for me to be present and not thinking about work still when I go home. Also, like, I will say working from home is nice, but when I go into the office and I have that drive home from work, that really helps me like decompress. And then I get home and I'm like, okay, I'm at home. I'm not thinking about work. So, but yeah, not every, some people have to work from home. It just depends. But being present, in conclusion, that's what I've been working on.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point because I mean, that's not, I don't have that as much, like, I didn't have that as much with my job because I had a preset schedule, like set patients every hour that I had. So I couldn't really choose to like procrastinate or not, which is also like a good and a bad thing. But that's a really good point, what you were saying about if you do have a job where it's kind of on you to get things done and up to your discretion, I guess, like the amount of time that you spend on things. That makes sense that when you're being really like, what's the word? Not responsible, but responsible with time, that it makes it easier to log off because you know that like you were using that time productively.
Right.
I don't know. So that's got to be hard to figure out at first for yourself, like how much time or how much focus you need to get like a certain task done.
Yeah.
But I like that you said that it takes time to get to that point too. I think that is probably the case with every job, is the time thing, that it just takes, and not as much time as we thought to, like you were saying, oh, maybe after training for a few weeks then like I'll know the job and then it'll be, but it takes totally way longer than that, like months, to get more settled. So
yeah. Another thing is like I've figured out like what kind of triggers my procrastination. So like I procrastinate way more if it's like I'm stuck on something kind of hard, like I can't figure something out. So now I'm like, okay, I can't figure this out. Instead of picking up my phone and looking at Instagram, I should just go immediately ask for help so that I move forward and keep going. So that's helped as well. But yeah, you're right. Your job is very different. Like you have more of a set schedule and you're kind of like forced to be present because you're dealing with customers and clients. So yeah, like what have you done was there anything that helped you when you would get home to stop thinking about it?
yeah. Yes, and that it took me a bit to figure out, like it was trial and error for me to figure out what helped me. I didn't say this before. If this is someone's first time listening to this, I'm a dental hygienist. I did not say that. I'm a dental hygienist, but not as of 2 weeks ago. I just left my job and I'm doing some soul searching. But for me, it actually, because the majority of my job is talking to patients all day and working with them and working through their cases and coming up with treatment plans and stuff, that took so much like constant brain power that taking breaks throughout the day really helped me, which they have to be like scheduled breaks because with patients they're on the hour every hour. And so if I could do things while I had one patient in the chair to make sure that I can get them out as like efficiently as possible, then say in between my next two patients I have a 5-minute break and I have time to like run to the bathroom and get a drink of water before like going to the next patient. And that only having that like short amount of time and such a limited break time was really hard for me at first. And that's just in general like a really difficult part of the job. But I really had to learn to like take advantage of that, so that when I was finished with the patient, took them up to the front for them to go check out. Once that patient left, I just had to be like, okay, like they're done now. I'm totally finished with that patient. Let me save their notes and they're done. And then I just had to take a second for myself, whether it was spending like an extra minute washing my hands just so I could like like pause in my head, or like going to drink water, or going to the bathroom that was like a little bit farther away down the hall and around the corner, so that I could like go on a tiny walk, or like, something like that, to step away from the zone that I was just in, because it's easy to stay in that. And then with going home, that was kind of the same thing. Like for me, the drive home was really helpful. Sometimes I would want to listen to music. I feel like a lot of time music really helps me, but going home after like talking to people all day, a lot of times I would just drive home in silence because I was like, my brain needed a second. And so the drive home helped me kind of be like, okay, I'm done with work, move on to the next thing. And then I feel like I still, up until pretty close to up until I like just finished, and I was working there for a year, I still felt like I would think about things like at home, like conversations or things, but I would catch myself more and just like acknowledge it and then move on, like
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I realized too. Like worrying about things didn't actually get anything done or wasn't very productive. So I would try to let it go. Do you feel like it helped would you ever like talk to Adam about your day, and then did that help you like, okay,
yeah,
I vent and now it's done, it's over?
yes, yeah, definitely. It helped to like tell him what went on or what was worrying me, and then after that, then it's like, okay, then we can like have the rest of our night, and like I feel like I tried to work on being present more too, with like even just making dinner or eating dinner, which is a random thing, but I would just remind myself, okay, I'm not at work anymore, I'm eating dinner and I'm home, like I'm in my house, which is like a safe place, and I'm good, and I'm like doing this thing that I enjoy more. So yeah. Okay, so with other tips in general to balance work and life, I mean, we touched on these things that we had notes of already, like being present and listening to music, or the drive home, or like scheduling our time. All of those are good. And I also think that I just also want to talk about doing things during our life outside of work that are fun, that can help us remember that we have a life outside of work. Because especially when you're starting a full-time job, it's really easy for it to like consume you, because everything's new and you're trying to absorb the new information and get into your routine. And so I actually saw this thing on TikTok a while ago, like months ago, but it kind of stuck with me. This girl was saying that she was going to start this new challenge, or I don't know, change her mindset of saying that work is her part-time job, even though it's full-time. Like her full-time job is her part-time job, and her life is her full-time job.
Oh, that's cute.
So I thought that was a good idea. I was like, oh, that's a really good way to look at it, because work, I mean, unfortunately, work, especially full-time, is so much of your life. Like, of course, you want to do other fun things with that time, but she was just talking about like maximizing the time outside of work and really enjoying it, because that, I mean, work is part of life too, but life outside of work is still your life. And so she just was talking about making the most of it. So I thought that that was really helpful, and that encouraged me to start making an effort to do things outside of work that were fun and things that I liked. So like our ward has like a volleyball night every Wednesday night at our church building, and whoever wants to come is welcome. So we have like new people coming in all the time, but it's just a set, like every Wednesday night it's at 8:30 and anyone can come. So me and Adam have both tried to go almost every week, and it's just like a fun set thing that is just for fun, but it feels like part of our like life, and it's outside of work.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was really helpful, and so trying to schedule things like that. Like I just finished my dance season, but I started going to dance classes on Monday nights, and then I would try to schedule things with like friends or like even like calls, like FaceTiming or like Marco Polo. If you don't know, Isa and I are the queens of Marco Polo, so that is definitely that like saves me on some days.
Yeah.
What has been your experience with that, or have you tried to do things like outside of work?
Yeah, definitely. So one of my treats to myself that I always schedule my nail appointments for like, and that's only once a month, but I always schedule them for like 5:30 on a weekday. And so then I really look forward to logging off work that day and going to get my nails done. Another
That's
weekly,
so smart.
yeah, it's my little treat to myself. Another thing, and maybe this is dumb, but like even just having a TV show to look forward to watching when you get off work. The Bachelorette just came back on, and I'm so happy. Like, my friends will usually get together and watch it all together, so that's something to look forward to. And then the next day at work, I have all these podcasts to listen to about the Bachelorette. So I'm excited to go to work the day after I watch The Bachelor/Bachelorette because I'm like, oh, I get to go listen to my podcasts. So that gives me something to look forward to. The gym, sometimes I dread going to the gym, but it does help me decompress from work, like going and doing something active, like you were saying with volleyball. I feel like that does make a big difference, especially like for you, you're like sitting over, your dental chair all day, and I'm like sitting on my computer. So being able to move my body makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those are really good things. We had to talk about The Bachelor because that was really interesting. That was a wild ride. Okay, let's see. Oh, also well, I guess nobody can see your nails. I wish that everyone could see all of the pictures of your amazing nails that you get done because Issa does the best, coolest designs on her nails, and they always look so good. Seriously.
I've been kind of boring lately, but thank you.
Well, I feel like I go through phases too. Like I mean, yours are like very top notch and like looking good. I do like my gel nails at home sometimes, and I even still feel like that too. Sometimes I'll like do really fun designs, and then sometimes you just have phases where you want like plain
Yeah.
solid colors, like neutral, and that like feels good too.
Yeah. Well, right now the like Hailey Bieber nails are in with like the chrome. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have right now, but they're pretty neutral. So
Sweet. I was gonna say, is that up next? But you already have them.
yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're kind of almost done. Like that was pretty much most of what we wanted to talk about. We talked about doing things out, like what kind of things outside of work we can do to make life fun. And I guess we talked a little bit about at work, like during the day, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about that specifically. So like for people that are working right now, what are some more tips or things that they could do maybe to help get through the day or like make work more enjoyable? So I talked about taking like water breaks and stuff, or like going to the bathroom or like washing your hands a little longer so you can kind of step out of what you're doing so that you have more energy and like focus going back into working again after your break. So I think that's a big thing. But also another like piece of advice I would have is do something throughout the day that you like to do or that like feels like yourself or that feels like something that you would do also like outside of work. Does that make sense? Is that a good way to describe it? Like
Yeah.
I'll say my example, then it'll make sense. So like listening to music that I like. So you talked about like you look forward to the Bachelor podcast.
Mm-hmm.
feel like once I started listening to music during the day, like my favorite music that I liked, that helped me to kind of like stay grounded or feel still like myself at work and not like, oh, my identity is a dental hygienist, if that makes sense. So like maybe like 6 months ago, maybe even less than that, I found that I could play music or play Pandora on from my operatory computer.
Oh,
And I hadn't been playing music before in my room. Our office like would play some like music in the lobby, but you couldn't hear it. And so in my room, I realized all of that time is just like the sound of like the suction or like instruments. And of course, people don't like that. So I'd have patients come in and like put headphones in and stuff. But I realized I could play it on my computer. And so I started playing all of my favorite like artists on my computer. So that's like on the speaker in my room while I'm working on patients. And I would play the Laney station mostly. That's my favorite band. And that helped me because like even if I would start to get stressed like in the middle of a patient or I was working on something hard or I felt like I needed a break but I wasn't at a good stopping place, then hearing the music in the background would kind of bring me back and I'd be like, okay, I'm good. I just kind of like sing along the words in my head or something like that, and it just reminded me of like who I am.
yeah.
I don't know, not like
Yeah.
be hokey, but yeah.
No, like there's a life outside of this dental office.
Yeah.
No, that makes well, as you were talking, I was thinking about the little things that actually do help me, and this is gonna sound kind of silly, but even like bringing my I have like a hydro flask with all these like nerdy stickers on it. Or like I have a pink Stanley cup. So even like the stuff I put on my desk like reminds me of like who I am outside of work, and that helps me. Kind of like the music, like keeping you grounded. I'm like, oh, these are, or like putting pictures. I don't know if you can bring pictures into your operatory, but like, making your space kind of your own.
Yeah.
And
I
another
have a little picture of the temple. Like a little, because we had the Washington DC temple open house, and there were little like pictures that you could like pass along, cards kind of things. So I like had one on my desk so I could see a picture of the temple.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, exactly. That's a good idea. The other thing that helps me throughout the day is bringing in snacks. And I particularly plan out when I'm going to eat my snacks so that I always have something to look forward to. I'm like, okay, in 2 more hours, I'm going to take a little break and eat this snack. So
yeah,
those are probably the main.
What's your go-to? What are your top snack items?
Well, I don't know if this counts as a snack, but I do drink a lot of Diet Coke throughout the day. And lately I've been into bagels.
Nice.
Oh, bagel. The other thing, I do feel a lot better at work if I like woke up and like actually like washed my face and put makeup on and put a cute outfit on, as opposed to the days where I just like roll out of bed and care what I look like at work, which everybody has those days, but I do feel better when I have like gotten ready for the day, and that helps me feel like productive and motivated too. So
yeah, I felt like that too. I am not very good at that. I got out of the habit of getting all the way ready, mostly because for me you have to wear like a mask and a scrub cap and like eyewear and stuff. So I was like, people can't see my face anyway. But even when I would do my makeup, I would still feel better even if no one could see it. I just felt put together.
Yeah. I know you have to wear like scrubs, but even like getting cute work outfits I'm not in one right now because it's Friday, but that's helped me.
That's true,
I guess there's some cute scrubs though. Do you have like lots of different colors?
Yeah, I do. I have some bright blue ones that I like. and the bottoms are joggers, so I like wearing those.
Yeah,
That's about it. My one wardrobe fun thing that I could do is like always wear crazy socks. Like I love socks that have fun patterns on them. So like I have socks that have koalas on them. I have socks that have little cacti on them. Socks with zebras. So like I'll wear all plain scrubs and then have my scrub cap and my big lab coat and my clinic shoes. But then my fun socks are like my fun thing.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, but it has been fun to wear like cute outfits during the day too. This last week of no work, it's been fun to look at my closet and be like, oh, look at the actual clothes that I have. Let me wear these during the day.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that's pretty much all I had. I can't think of anything else that I wanted to add. Can you think of anything? Hopefully this episode gave you guys ideas of things to do outside of work and at work.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I was thinking about was like most things in life aren't permanent, and sometimes that helps me. Even it's not very tangible, but even just thinking about that and keeping it in perspective, like there's things I really like about my job and then there's things I don't like about my job, and I think that goes for any job. Like I could go find a different job tomorrow and there would be pros and cons to it. Or in a few years, maybe hopefully I'll have kids and I might kind of miss working some days, you know? So
yeah.
Not everything is permanent, and there's pros and cons to most aspects of life. So that's kind of helped me keep things in perspective.
Yeah. Amen. Well said. That's a great way to finish. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Isa.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Traffic Jam with Cam. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a rating and a review so that the podcast can reach more people. I post new episodes on Monday mornings, and you can find me on Instagram at Traffic Jam Podcast. Talk to you next time. Bye.